What's going on, everyone? Supreme Kami here. So before I start reviewing these two units over here, I would like to thank everyone for the video yesterday. So the 7-day video from yesterday turns out pretty good. You guys have a lot of how do I say it? Interaction. That's the word. Interaction with me, like commenting and all that. So thank you guys all for congratulating me on my good RNG yesterday. So So all right, back to the review over here. So we're gonna start off with the Kasai Gundam over here. So let's see what we're doing here. We have 7 parts to go over. Yeah, if you guys have seen the stat already, it's monstrous. I would say this is probably one of the more shocking unit they have released because of one good tag. And that, like Commander, right? Because Commander is pretty good after the 2.4 update with that 3-star war gear, you can say. But is this something you have to seminar for this seminar, right? I think for one, you have to ask yourself, is the Kasai Gundam you like or whatnot? That's something, right? Because you wouldn't really like if I would say the majority of the player base some probably should summon on or whatever they feel like they like, and not purely based on like, ooh, I want the highest stat, right? I mean, you can, but like most of the chances you might get shafted. You see the video yesterday, I got good RNG, right? But you guys have seen me get really bad pulls. So you guys know how it is sometimes. So question one is like, do you like the Kasai Gundam? And then question two is, do you really need the command attack? So that's question number two. So because if you take a look at the Kasai Gundam head over here, stat right now we are looking at rank number 2, just right behind the straight no name, and then just a little bit just past the build project for Saga Chessbreaker, and then obviously way past Strike Freedom. But I would say it's the portrait over here something good. It's really it depends, right? Because if you look at it like just like right at the bat, this look really good because you get 2 double EXQ power boosted. But for the first one, you are going to be locked behind that middle shooter job over here. So if you want to run that long shooter job for maybe like for let's say multi mission, you're gonna have to swap out something, right? So that's a point number 1 over there. And then point number 2, the second half, right? EXQ power boosted by 35% only to the arm part, right? Because if we take a quick look, the only EXQ we have is from the arm, and then the power we are doing is, what is it? I'm actually only doing A power because this is one of those cutscene EXQ that has like a pretty short first time usage. That's why they have like A power over here. So the head EXQ kind of like kind of gives it a little bit more than just the A power, right? If quote unquote you run this as a whole unit over here with like all the portrait and all that other stuff over there. So I would say this one compared to the many of the one I have listed, I would say for Saga Chessbreaker, I believe is locked behind T attribute, so that one is a little bit restrictive. Strike Freedom is double restrictive because you need 2 points, right? You need to run dual rifles, so you have to run that double rifle, and 2, you have to run dual sabers. So that is something that might kind of like hinders in some kind of portrait. Maybe some portrait would say, oh, use sabers like single saber, not like dual saber. So that's kind of like a limit in a way. Amazing War kind of have the same problem as well because it's locked behind that mid shooter, so that's gonna be a problem. The Proto Zero does have some problem on its own because you need buff. You need to activate buffs before you get that EXQ power. So I would say the one I have all listed have their own little problems. So I don't recall if Double X have any problem nor the narrative. The only good one is the last week we have the St. Andrew Stein. The power, like the stat is so low, right? Coming in only at 9,989, but the EXQ, the condition is so free. You just have to have the word tag high firepower, right? So that's good because most of the time you will be able to run that high firepower in either build. So I went a little bit more in depth with the head because like for any shot build, the head is the most important part. So whether or not you want this kind of portrait over here, or if you have already have some decently good head part already, you you don't really need it, right? So it just really depends on what you guys have your box. But I just want to be a little bit more critical on this head over here because I see some kind of drawbacks onto it. All right, moving on to the chest over here. I would say the chest is notably one of the better parts on the Kasai Gundam. Reason being, look at this over here. When you have a commander active, because like, take a look at the whole suit, right? The head over here, you have commander and Gundam type, 2 good word tag. Obviously having that commander, you can really not run. So Gundam type and high firepower are interchangeable, so either one is good. So it doesn't really matter, right? But the most important part we're looking at, you have commander over here. Like the last time we have a commander tag was, let's see, I would say Legends Gundam was no. The Destiny High-End version was the last one, quote unquote, like the Sokai ones. Like obviously we have good, like we have a lot of standard pool parts that have recently have commander. Like if you take a look at H24 Glanza, that has commander, right? But I would say the stat, uh, you wouldn't take standard parts into consideration because you are missing that double word tag, not word tag, double trait if they have it. We do have a lot of warfare parts that have commander tag, like for example this week the Montreal warfare units does have commander. I believe a few weeks ago, like last week or the other week ago, we have a commander word tag as well. So they are pushing those out a little bit more. But if you're talking about purely like the good parts, this is like the fifth one, fourth one. If you're not third one, if you're not counting the build project, the high Xeon, the new Xeon Gundam, yeah, that one's a little bit more restrictive in a way. So this one is good. One shooting and one EX good. So this is a pretty good trade-off over here. Commander, you're gonna have that active for sure, and then with you're gonna lose 10% of your crew down, which is fine. I guess it just really depends on whether or not you want to build that like 100% CD builds. Then you might run into some problem, but otherwise this is, I would say, just good to go, right? So this one is good. Turns to the tag, commander and Gundam type, excellent. This one is just a little bit shy under the no name, straight no name, but I would say this one is a little bit more easier to run because good tags, right? We can just quickly go over the no name, just a quick detour, right? Where is no name? It's like literally down over here. So no name. No name comes in at 6.4k, but this one you're limited to that back part and you're restricted to a T attribute build. So this one is double restriction over here. In terms of the tag, Ace exclusive, and for computer, not the best ideal tag you want. Ace exclusive is good, but for computer you don't really want that. So the winner will go to the side chest over here. In terms of other parts, other good parts, I think the double Z was good, but I think one of them was dedicated to the head EX skill, which is not good at all. I think the Stein was good as well. The EXS one power, I think one shooting buff. Hardened Destiny also one shooting power boosted and one debuffing, like in terms of enemy EX skill reduction or something like that. Legends as well, I think one's is piercing boosting, and then one was just a shooting power buff when you have commander. So I would say overall, if you guys, this is probably one of the better chests for shooting in terms of shooting category. So this one is good. All right, moving on to the big arm over here. Yeah, it is literally big, right? So in terms of that, we are looking at rank 1. Dude, like they literally built Kasai Gundam, like they literally like, all right, everyone like when they build this guy, they're like, all right, everyone would have to have this, right? Obviously not, right? But in terms of the stat, all the part trade tags, it looks like you really need it. But do you really need it? Probably not, right? Because like I said, there's a lot of good replacement already, just not on par of the stat, right? In terms of the EX skill over here, we have the funnel into combo over here coming in at S. This is the first time we have an S pair, so I should be expect good damage if we are like, if for example I am running against like a pretty high beefed up defensive unit, I think I should be able to break that barrier with this amount of piercing over here. In terms of the effects, you do get a squad recovery of 48%, and then as well as a 39% shot attack to your squad, so that's pretty good. 8 power because this is one of those shorter cooldown, So this is a 12-second compared to like the 30 seconds. So this one, they have to put some restriction on it, right? So they're gonna do a power cut over here. So is this something you want to alt? I would say no. I think no. I think you still have to alt because after alt, no, before you alt, before alteration, I think it's only doing C power. So I think alterating it may be the best case scenario. Because these are shorter cooldown, so I think they will function a little bit more versatile compared to like you wouldn't have to run a lot of high percentage initial charge EXQ. So I'll say these are pretty good if you like it. There aren't a lot of like short first time usage cutscene EXQ. So the next one I can think of is probably gonna be narrative C packs. So that one is a beam shot, not a physical. So that's a little bit detour over there, but that one only comes in maxed out at A plus. So this one's gonna be the main. It's gonna be the winner if you're just talking purely for the like cutscene EXQ, like the in terms of damage, right? In terms of stat, 6k, you're good. I would rather have this on my main build than running this on my skin for the EXQ, right? So this one is good. Probably a good choice to like if you want to alterate it, obviously. Pretty good. Good checks as well, right? Okay, yeah, definitely really good X exclusive and commander. Well played over there. Well played. Continue with the trend of P-type. They do like to throw in a lot of CD, like true down reduction for these kind of guy. This is not another one we have over here. This one coming in at when you have P attribute, EXQ CD reduced by 20%. So they are continue the trend with these, but like I said, there's a lot of better choices if you purely want the CD. Like I had mentioned, I believe a few days ago, I was going over the welfare alteration. We have the God custom P attribute. You do have the same effects over here. That one is a lot more cheaper than this guy over here, obviously. But this one also comes with a when you have P attribute, EXQ power boost by 30%. So phenomenal over there. In terms of the stat, you're not looking at anything too impressive, but for the value of this EXQ cooldown over there, I would say it's not reduction in CD over here. I would say it's pretty good. But is this something you really need? Probably not, right? Because there are a lot of better legs. I would say the no name Astray, the Astray no name still have a better stats. If you guys previously have the Versago chest breaker, I believe the leg have the same function as well. As for the ZZ Gundam leg, I forget what it actually does, but I think it's still pretty good. I think it still have some either EXQ power boost or shooting power boost. As for the narrative C pack, it's pretty good, but one of the portrait is locked behind a middle shooter. So if you guys are doing like a long shooter, that may be a little bit of a drawbacks over there as well. But if you guys still have the leg, it's just something you want to alterate. I guess this really depends if you have the resources and if you have those like any of the better parts. But it's pretty good, right? The overall, like, I would say I'm really satisfied with the overall kits, like how they kind of built it. Like in general, it's pretty good. In terms of backpack, coming in number 6 over here, not too bad of a stat. Tag wise, you look at commander and Gundam type again, so that's pretty good. In terms of portrait over here, when so this one your job gauge down by 10%. Like I think this is like charging wise is gonna be down 10%, so that's okay, right? It doesn't really matter too much. And then with P attribute, enemy special shooting power reduced by 30%. So I would say those shooting power, like those special shooting can be easily dodged. So I don't think this is something that we really needed. So I would say this over here just kind of kills it in a way. In terms of some better one I can think of right now, it's gonna be the Prosecco chest breaker. The Senenju Stein was a pretty good option as well, but I don't really let's see. But I can't exactly remember what is like the actual portrait. But the Zeta Gundam is gonna be all time just really good. So just having this one over here kind of devalues it just teeny tiny bit. Because the stat is pretty good in the top 10 right now. So is this something you would like to probably just hold off on this for now? I wouldn't say it's like a main priority to artists. Alright, coming down to the beam rifle over here, in terms of the stat, this one right now will be the highest shooting power after the change gear, coming in at 12,251. Just a little bit past the ZZ double beam rifle over there, coming in at 12,180. But in terms of the portrait, yeah, the portrait kind of speaks for itself, because this is one of those when you're running like a middle shooting job, you get that job rate increased by 17%. This is just to compensate for the chest, not for the chest, right? For the backpack, because this one has a 10% drop, so this is just to kind of compensate for that. Is this something you really need? Probably not. I wouldn't say increase in job crews is something I wouldn't personally. I don't personally prioritize in these over here. Maybe if you guys do, that's maybe something good for you. But in terms of the second portrait, this is only dedicating it to the arm part, so a kind of a bit letdown over here. So any of the other E skill will not take benefit into it. So I would say this is not the best beam rifle to kind of alterate. But if you purely want to stat, I mean, I guess you can kind of go for it. But I have mentioned a few good options as well. You have obviously the Build Project ZC beam rifle. You have the Legends is still holding up pretty good. And then you have the high new HWS version, and then the Hidden Destiny one is pretty good as well. So all four of those are predicated or dedicating it to the shooting build. So obviously there are some higher shooting stat, but those are for like kind of melee builds, because those tags doesn't really support it. So that's why I picked those four instead. In terms of the shield over here, currently it's gonna be number 1 as well. Just a bit past the Proto Zero, the Wing and the Proto Zero shield, and then in terms of the portrait, is pretty good. You do have one when you have command attack up, shooting power boosted by 30%, and then when you have middle shooter job, you do get a shooting crit up by 40%. I mean, crit is not really too relevant, right? So it is good to have, but it's not something we wouldn't want. In terms of comparing to the Proto Zero, I think they are kind of the same, right? I think as for the Proto Zero, I believe there's a buff effects like buffing EX skill power. Not buffing EX skill, buffing EX skill effects. So that one is a little different. But in terms of the Hidden Destiny version, you do have one of these shooting power boosted, but that one is a little bit lower in stat, by just by 12k actually. So yeah. So overall, I would say yeah. I don't really have any good complaints for the Kasai Gundam over here. The chest is probably something I would prioritize first, and then the other one is probably maybe the leg. In terms of the head, that is, if you guys have better option, you can alterate it, but that is if you summon on right. Overall, pretty good. So up next, we will be talking about the revisit to the Penelope Gundam. So in terms of Penelope over here, we only have 5 parts. So we're gonna briefly go over them, because if you guys can see, the stat is not looking as impressive as you would say compared to the Kasai Gundam over here. So let's see what the head is doing over here. In terms of the word tech, unfortunately, they're not something you can kind of fix, because this guy kind of came out in a time where the tag was not as good in a way. Not that doesn't mean the tag does not reflect what the units is, right? It's just kind of how they pair them up, right? So in terms of stat over here, I thought initially it wouldn't break that 10k, but it actually did. So that's kind of my bad over there. But in terms of the defense doesn't really make up too much of it. So even with the change gear, we are maxing out only at 10,869, which is not too bad. I would say I think it's just roughly underneath the strike freedom. But in terms of the portrait over here, you have one of those like enemy shooting power reduction by 30%, which is, I mean, something too good to have. If you guys really want to have that 100%. For example, enemy shooting power reduction, I think these are kind of good, but this one really depends on kind of the user, whether or not they don't mind having this one as kind of the portrait. But me personally, just my build, I like to have it like all offensive, like, so it's either like shooting power boosted, like shooting or melee power boosted or EXQ power boosted. So I'm kind of more into those offensive stat. But if you guys are someone that likes these kind of one like a EXQ power boosting and then one enemy power reduction, that's up to you guys. But I would say I wouldn't really alterate it just because of the text is just kind of wonky as well. Base exclusive high mobility, not something you would really want in any, like even any of the top choices. They wouldn't throw this kind of a tag right there, right? So this one I would say it's pretty safe to say the hot skip over here, just purely based on the stat itself. Like the stat doesn't really determine too much of whether you want to alterate it or not. Go back and click in the chest. Hello. In terms of the stat over here, if you guys can see, like the defenses is really good. If there's ever another arena mode where like it prioritized over defensive stat, I think this one may be a good candidate if you're into that. Like you want to build out those kind of teams right off the bat right now. This one may be a good option. As well as armor is pretty. I would say the armor wise is average. I have seen some better higher ones like how many weeks ago when we had the SD Moryu Kenshi. I think that one, right? That one has a pretty high armor, so that one is good. So in terms of the portrait for this guy over here, you have a shooting power boosted by 30% when you are running Ace exclusive, which 100% of the time that will be active. And this second portrait is the same as the Penelope. This one is the same as the Kasai, right? Having one of those traits, dedicating it to the art, which is not something too terrible, but I would like it to be a little bit more general, like a little bit more versatile, where every EXQ can kind of like every EXQ in every part, like is rather being in the head, chest, leg, backpack, like your guns or like even your shield. So this one is good nonetheless because it's just gonna be buffering this EXQ a little bit more. So is this something you want to alterate? Probably not as well because there are a lot more better choices. Mainly for these two guys review, like they're pretty similar. So the part I'm using are the same as well. Just because of the tag is kind of like, probably not. You wouldn't want to alterate this guy over here. In terms of the arm over here, we have the flight unit combo over here. So this one is going to be our regular general Kasai EXQ doing a D pierce and S power over here. So this one, if you guys see my preview, like going like the upcoming, like going over the upcoming content for like this week, I have done the EXQ showcase of this guy already pre-alteration. So we were dealing a very good amount of damage. So I presumably after the alteration, this one would do how many times more, right? Because you're doing you're doing I would say doing a little bit more, right? Just coming from an A to an S, so just 2 grades up, like that A minus, no, A plus and then S minus and then S. So you should be doing a fairly good amount of damage out of this over here. So is this something you want to alterate? So this one is going to be really personal. I want to say if you want to alterate on that, it just really depends. If you guys want a EXQ on your arm, so another good, like a few other good suggestions, like for the arm Kasai EXQ, we have the build project Recycle Chest Breakers, something probably not a lot of people will have. And then another one's going to be the full armor unicorn. That one does have an EXQ as well, and that one is awakening EXQ, so it's going to function just slightly different from these general EXQ over here. So so this one just really depends personally if you guys want to alterate it. Alright, in terms of the leg over here, it's one of those conditional again where the text is kind of wonky. In terms of stats, it's not anything too impressive because this one you do have an EXQ over here. So this is probably going to be best to run on your skin. In terms of the missile funnel over here, yep, like I have expected, it's going to jump up to an A plus at max. A pierce as well, so this one should deal fairly amount good damage. This one I would say it just really depends. This one doesn't function as, this one I wouldn't say function as like the actual funnel. Like I think it just kind of hits and then it's gone. It's like a one hit kind of thing because it's like a missile combined. So after you hit your target, It just kind of gone. In the preview, I did do this casting EX, not the casting, just the fundamental EXQ showcase. I would say the damage is fairly, fairly really good as well. Even pre-aughts, because pre-aught you're looking at a D power, if I recall. Like it was doing a lot of damage already, so I think after alteration, I should be able to one-shot the enemy if I were to take that enemy again. So this one is pretty good, but like I said, this kind of EXQ, it just really depends on you if you guys really like it or not. So, alright, so looking at this over here, the backpack now. In terms of the backpack, what are we doing over here? In terms of the stat, nothing too impressive in a way. Pretty high defense though. If you guys take a look throughout, the defense is pretty good. Not this one though. I think the arm does have a pretty high defensive stat value. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I think this one can be a good candidate if they ever decided to do like a defensive mode arena. I think this would be pretty good. In terms of the part tree over here, so they did go for a shooting power booster, so that's good, up to 35%, and then you do have EQ piercing boosted by 28%. So piercing is okay in a way. So when you take on like higher defensive stat enemy, you may be able to like kind of go through that, break through that. So this one is good, but not something in a not a mandatory, right? So I think the most ideal is just to have like another EXQ power boosting, but it is what it is, right? You can't really expect too much out of this one over here. So alright, so let's talk about the banner first. So the banner is one of those premium set step up over here, just like the Strike Freedom and Infinite Justice. Where let me see, I think this right now is a pretty good time to talk about again. Just to kind of closing out is these two good banners to summon on. I would say let's go with the pro. I would say yes in terms of the pro, because both these guys are gonna come out 6-star, so you wouldn't have to waste the resources, spend the resources in upgrading them to that 6-star, because every time we do like a 5-star to a 6-star, you do spend another additional 5 million. If you guys have known nowadays, capital are kind of scarce, so just having them at dropping a 6-star is pretty good. In terms of Kasai, it's probably a bang for your buck, but the rate in terms of the con, right? The rate is just horrendous, right? I did pretty good, but not everyone will have the same amount of RNG as I would have. 16% is really general nowadays. They won't, unless it's like the step up over here. Like for the Penelope over here, banner over here, you are gonna be guaranteed a 6-star at the end of the day. So this one is a pretty good value, but like it doesn't justify you to summon it because the part is not too good. So 100% at the end of the day. So this one is good if you want to spend that 7,500. And then one additional cherry on top, right? One cherry on top, you do get these little fellows over here. So this is only dedicating it to the Penelope banner over here. So you do get this option over here. You can use 5 of the L badge of the Penelope and get yourself 700 of discount plug-in coins over here, where you can exchange for a pincer and a knife, right, where you can upgrade your E skill level and your trait level. So I think overall I would say the Penelope is not the best bang for your buck, just purely because of the step up incentive. I couldn't find myself just to summon on it because of that. So I would say if anything, the Kasai Gundam will be the better bang for your buck in terms of trying to get some good parts out of that. But like I say, go in with caution because these three are kind of bad. So I think with that being said, I think this would conclude this week's review for these two guys over here. So if you guys do have something on this, let me know which ones of the part you guys have alterated. And then with that being said, I will catch you guys on the next one.